Hello, my name is Pastor Kathy. I'm the pastor of Pleasant Valley Lutheran Church near Malabar Farm and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Lucas, Ohio. Greetings. We're reading through the Bible with commentary. We are up to Genesis chapter 46 and 47. We've been reading about Joseph, who was sold by his brothers into slavery, ended up in Egypt, ended up in jail, ended up the second in command to Pharaoh, and ended up collecting for 7 years of good years all the grain, and then now the 7 years of famine have begun. His brothers have shown up wanting to buy grain, and he said, well, I'll sell you grain, but if you want any more, you got to bring back your youngest brother, his full brother. So they came back, and then he revealed himself to them and said, you need to move here. You need to come back. So they went back to get their dad and said, Joseph is alive, and he sent all this food and all this stuff and wagons, and we're all to move to Egypt. And that's where we are at tonight. So verse 46, when Israel set out on his journey, I just said verse, chapter 46, when Israel set out on his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba, he offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make of you a great nation there. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also bring you up again, and Joseph's own hand shall close your eyes. So when Jacob was getting ready to go to the land of Haran, where he ended up marrying two cousins and their maids, he met God on the way back. He met God, and now he's leaving the land of Canaan, and he meets God again, who says, it's okay, go ahead and go, and your son Joseph will be there. Verse 5, then Jacob set out from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried their father Jacob, their little ones, and their wives in the wagons that Pharaoh had sent to carry him. They also took their livestock and the goods that they had acquired in the land of Canaan. And they came into Egypt, Jacob and all his offspring with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, all his offspring he brought with him into Egypt. Now here's one of those really hard paragraphs that I'm going to butcher the names, but I'm going to do my best. Basically, who all got to come? Now, these are the names of the Israelites, Jacob and his offspring who came to Egypt. Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, the children of Reuben, Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. The children of Simeon, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman. The children of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The children of Judah, Onan, and Shelah, Perez, and Zerah, but and Onan died in the land of Canaan. And the children of Perez were Hezron and Hamel. The children of Issachar, Tola, Puvah, Jashub, and Shimron. The children of Zebulun, Zered, Elon, and Jaleel. These are the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob in Paddan Aram, together with his daughter Dinah, and all his sons and his daughters numbered 33. So by the first wife, Leah, 6 sons. We're not going to count the girls, and we're not counting it Dinah, even though she's mentioned here because she's a girl. The children of Gad, Ziphion, Haggai, Shunai, Esbon, Eri, Arodai, and Ereli. The children of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishbi, Beriah, their sister Sarah. The children of Beriah, Heber, and Malchiah. These are the children of Zilpah, who Laban gave his daughter Leah. These she bore to Jacob, 16 persons. I'll warn you now that the math doesn't add up. So by the second wife, Zilpah, those people. The children of Jacob's wife, Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin. To Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, whom Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, a priest of On, bore to him. The children of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Mupim, Hupim, Ard. Mupim and Hupim, it is always such fun names. These are the children of Rachel, who were born to Jacob, 14 persons in all. Since Benjamin is described as a very young person, not sure that all of these are necessarily born at the time that they're leaving the land of Canaan, but that's the ancestry. The children of Dan, Hashem. The children of Naphtali, Jeziel, Guni, Jezer, and Shalem. These are the children of Bilhah, whom Laban gave to his daughter Rachel, and these she bore to Jacob, 7 persons in all. All the persons belonging to Jacob who came into Egypt who were his own offspring, not including the wives of his sons, were 66 persons in all. The children of Joseph who were born to him in Egypt were 2. All the persons in the house of Jacob who came to Egypt were 70. This is the priestly writer. They're only counting the men. And even if you can only count the men, it still doesn't quite add up. But for whatever reason, they use the number 70. 70 people, plus wives, plus girls, plus sheep, plus cows, plus everything, plus probably servants and slaves. Verse 28, Israel sent Judah ahead to Joseph to lead the way before him to Goshen. When they came to the land, so Judah got to take the lead and go find out where to go. When they came to the land of Goshen, Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to meet his father in Goshen. He presented himself to him, fell on his neck, and wept on his neck a good while. Israel said to Joseph, I can die now, having seen for myself that you are still alive. Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, I will go up and tell Pharaoh, and will say to him, My brothers and my father's household, who were in the land of Canaan, have come to me. The men are shepherds, for they have been keepers of livestock. They have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. When Pharaoh calls you and says, What is your occupation? You shall say, Your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth, even until now, both we and our ancestors, in order that you may settle in the land of Goshen, because all shepherds are abhorrent to the Egyptians. So, according to my footnote also, the fact that they're foreigners and people could be a little nervous that they're trying to acquire the land. And they're not actually trying to become farmers and farming the land, they are shepherds. Although it's clear that while they were in the land of Canaan, they were shepherds and livestock herders, but they also farmed the land as well. So he's like, you guys, tell them that you're shepherds. Chapter 47. So Joseph went and told Pharaoh, My father and my brothers, with their flocks and herds and all they possess, have come from the land of Canaan. They are now in the land of Goshen. From among his brothers he took 5 men and presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said, about only half, not even half. Pharaoh said to his brothers, What is your occupation? And they said to Pharaoh, Your servants are shepherds, as our ancestors were. They said to Pharaoh, We have come to reside as aliens in the land, for there is no pasture for your servants' flocks, because the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. Now we ask you, let your servants settle in the land of Goshen. So we're not trying to buy the land. We're not trying to move in. We've got a bunch of flocks, and they can't live in Canaan. So please can we move into Goshen? Which he's already said yes, but it's appropriate to ask permission first. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is before you. Settle your father and your brothers in the best part of the land. Let them live in the land of Goshen. And if you know that they are capable men among them, put them in charge of my livestock. Since we don't like shepherds anyway, and apparently they're shepherds, let them take care of all my people. Then Joseph brought in his father Jacob and presented him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Jacob, How many are the years of your life? Jacob said to Pharaoh, The years of my earthly sojourn are 130. Few and hard have been the years of my life. They do not compare with the years of my life of my ancestors during their long sojourn. Then Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from the presence of Pharaoh. So Pharaoh was presented with Jacob. Jacob was asked, How old you are? 130. And then he gave a blessing to Pharaoh and departed. Joseph settled his father and his brothers and granted them a holding in the land of Egypt, in the best part of the land, in the land of Ramesses, as Pharaoh had instructed. And Joseph provided his father, his brothers, and all his father's household with food according to their number of dependents. So not only are they able to move to Egypt and be reunited and have place where their sheep can graze. They're actually just allotted an amount of food. They don't have to buy food like everybody else is going to have to do. And apparently the land of Ramesses is another name for the land of Goshen, which is the northeastern Nile Delta that near Tanis was a capital for Pharaoh Ramesses II in 13th century BCE. So we're talking possibly 1,000 years before Jesus at this point. And Egypt is so ancient that they don't have confirmation of any of this, but they also have no way of knowing that there's no confirmation and there's no way of saying that it didn't happen either. So we assume that it did happen. But there's no records of it other than the Bible at this point that I know of. Verse 13. Now there was no food in all the land, for the famine was very severe. The land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine. Joseph collected all the money to be found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan in exchange for the grain that they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. When the money from the land of Egypt and from the land of Canaan was spent, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, "Give us food. Why should we die before your eyes? For our money is gone." And Joseph answered, "Give me your livestock, and I will give you food in exchange for your livestock if your money is gone." Because you don't kill the sheep and then you have absolutely zero. You need to have grain and sheep. So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them food in exchange for the horses, the flocks, the herds, and the donkeys. That year he supplied them with food in exchange for all their livestock. When that year was ended, they came to him the following year and said to him, "We cannot hide from my lord that our money is all spent, and the herds of cattle are my lord's. There is nothing left in the sight of the Lord but our bodies and our lands. Shall we dig? Shall we die before your eyes, both we and the land? Buy us and our land in exchange for food. We with our land will become slaves to Pharaoh. Just give us seed so that we may live and not die, and that the land may not become desolate." So Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. All the Egyptians sold their fields because the famine was severe upon them, and the land became Pharaoh's. As for the people, he made slaves of them from one end of Egypt to the other. Only the land of the priests he did not buy, for the priests had a fixed allowance from Pharaoh and lived on the allowance that Pharaoh gave them. Therefore, they did not sell their land. So later on we will hear about Hebrew priests having an allotment of land, and this is not an original thing. It was a well-established practice that the priests would also have a bit of land where they could have crops and raise flocks and herds. And since the priests are getting a subsistence from Pharaoh, they don't have to sell their land and they don't have to become slaves. But everybody else, it all belongs to Pharaoh. 23. Then Joseph said to the people, "Now that I have this day bought you and your land for Pharaoh, here is seed for you, sow the land. And at the harvest you shall give 1/5 to Pharaoh, and 4/5 shall be your own, as seed for the field, and food for yourselves and your households, as food for your little ones." They said, "You have saved our lives. May it please my lord, we will be slaves to Pharaoh." So Pharaoh owns everything. Here's some grain for you. You can eat some, you can sow some, and 20% of it goes to Pharaoh because he owns the land. They're basically now all serfs. So Joseph made it a statute concerning the land of Egypt, and it stands to this day that Pharaoh should have the 5th. The land of the priests alone did not become Pharaoh's. Verse 27, Thus Israel settled in the land of Egypt, in the region of Goshen, and they gained possession in it, and they were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly. Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, so the days of Jacob, the years of his life, were 147 years. So he was 130 when he met Pharaoh, and he lived 17 more years in Egypt. So Jacob, he was in the land of Canaan. He spent a good chunk of time, at least 20 plus years, over in Haran, where he got his wives. Then he spent a bunch of years back in the land of Canaan, and then the last 17 years of his life in Egypt. Verse 29, When the time of Israel's death drew near, he called his son Joseph and said to him, If I have found favor with you, put your hand under my thigh, possibly not the thigh. It's possibly a euphemism, but basically this is some kind of ancient way of making a vow that you grab hold of something or touch something and say, I swear that I will do this thing. And promise to deal loyally and truly with me. Do not bury me in Egypt. When I lay down with my ancestors, carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burial place. He answered, I will do as you have said. And he said to me, swear to me. And he swore to him. Then Israel bowed himself on the head of his bed. So we're going to stop there. Tomorrow we will hear about Jacob blessing all his sons and his death, which looks like 3 chapters, but I think that's enough for tonight. So I don't know if the sons ever told Jacob what they had done to their brother, but we'll hear about tomorrow. They're still nervous about it, even though Joseph seems to have forgiven them. They're guilty. They feel the guilt of what they did. And Joseph is saying, hey, what you did ended up being a good thing. You thought it was so bad. It was bad, but God used it. And sometimes we're in the middle of really hard times and we're like, why is this happening? I don't understand this. God, why are you doing this to me? And whether God does it or whether God allows it, in the end, God uses it and often brings us to places that we never would be otherwise. But it's very hard when we're in the middle of it. But then later on, of course, we get to the place that we're at and say, this is a good place to be. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord look at you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace. Serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.